We grew up in West Philly, 54th and Summer Street. We lived in one house. My grandma, my mother's mother, her siblings, and then my mom moved out and we moved to the projects. From there, my mom told us we would be there 1 year. She worked 2 jobs, and within that year, she bought a home. My name is Lynette Parker. They call me Took, that's my nickname. And Kevin is my little brother. Kevin Parker is my little brother. And Ms.Tootsie is our mother. It was only the 2 of us. And he was my only sibling.
Hi, I'm Kevin Bell, but they call me Butter. My relationship with Kevin goes back to the mid-'80s. Kevin always had gatherings at his house. He having a little party down there, so I went down there, met him, and we kind of clicked right then, you know what I mean? So they called me one day and they said, "You want to do a catering party with us?" I said, "Sure, yeah." So I went and did the catering party with them. They said, we was Kevin, Kevin, and Kevin, but I think we got to be Kevin, 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 and Kevin now. And we did different events, weddings, birthday parties. We did quite a few setups, catering out of our homes. You know, you would have this to do, you would have that to do, and you would have that to do. And then we all meet at the place for everything we had to do, and that's how we did the events then. Because we didn't have a hall or nothing like that.
I can honestly say, like, when we grew up, it was my grandma that used to cook. My aunt, she was famous with the dumplings and chicken and dumplings. You know, my mom just would cook all the time. And we were in the projects, and a lot of my mom's girlfriends lived there too. And it was mainly like she would always fix more than enough. And I guess that came from us coming from living all together, and my grandma and all of them always fixing a lot of food. So as we grew up, Kevin really seen my mom the way that her hustle, you know, and wanting more for us and wanting better for us. And he always used to say, even at a younger age, like, "I'm gonna take care of mommy when we get older. I'm gonna take care of mommy when we get older." And I used to be like, okay.
Now when we started, it's just something that's cooking out of your kitchen. You cooking for family, a few people, little party, Christmas, Thanksgiving, stuff like that. When we went up in the kitchen, we went up in 3801, and we doing cooking now. He's learning like I'm learning, because we never been back to school for this at all. Learning how to make recipes, learning what can taste good, what looks good, normally tastes good, because you eat with your eyes. So we went in the kitchen and we done burnt a few things, we done overcooked a few things, we done undercooked a few things, you know. We didn't match certain things up with each other, but it was a trial and error thing. And we just didn't give up. We kept working on it.
So you would hear him always being like, "Well, what you put in that? Well, what you put in this? And what you put in that?" So he was learning and learning, and I used to be like, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a cook." And I was like, okay. When my mom started working the 2 jobs, Kevin would always be like, "I'm gonna cook." And I used to be like, And he was like, "I know what I'm doing." And sometimes he used to be like, "Do you remember X, Y, and Z?" But I knew how to cook because I used to watch my grandma and them cook. So he would always want to have my mom a meal. Like, cause she would come home in between her second job. And Kevin would always have made dinner for us. And I used to eat, so it was good. So that's how he started off cooking.
He said, "Let's come up with something else." He said, "We got to get some menus together because we can't keep giving them the same thing, chicken, string beans, and just a rice. We got to come up with a fish. We got to do a chicken a different way." And we just started working on it. I mean, at home, we would work on it. We'd call each other on the phone. Guess what I came up with? He said, "Well, see if you can make it at home, and then we're going to taste it and see if we should put it on the menu." And that's how we worked with that. And he would have me up all night trying to figure things out. You know, we doing shopping, trying to get stuff together to get to the next party. But it was a a very learning situation. It was fun. It was at the same time learning. It was fun at the same time.
He started off with Simply Delicious. Kevin used to get orders and make platters, and he was doing it out the baker's trunk, like taking it like to the bars and the lounges, and people would order from him. And my mom would cook the food and just fill the orders. So that progress, started going well. And then he eventually got 3801 First District. And once he did that, got that, he was able to hire people.
Okay, we went up in 3801. Our first event up there was the Sheriff's Breakfast. And we learned from the first one, because the first one was down in Chinatown on Ray Street. And in that kitchen, it was in August of '93. I must have burnt sausages, trying to cook the eggs on that little stove. And we was just trying to make this work. He said, buddy, you gotta pull yourself together. We gotta make this work. We got the people down there, they ready to eat, they ready to do that. I said, I'm doing what I gotta do. I'm getting it together, Kevin. So we got it all together. The next one was at 3801. That was like in 2004. Now we still have full-time jobs, so we just trying to make this work, trying to do that. So being up at 3801, we had space. A room that can seat 1,000 people. A buffet that can go at least about 40 to 50 feet long. We had enough space to do quite a bit of things. He started buying props. Big, huge beams that get drilled to the table and sit up on the table. So I'm saying, Kevin, where are we going with this? What you doing? He said, get that ladder and climb up there and put the flour on top of there. He said, but drill it down so that way it'll sit there. So he was getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, whoa, well, where are we going to do? We need a storeroom downstairs. So we got to get these props, hold on to them. We would go to auctions, different restaurant places, and just pick up different props. He said, because the next time we have something, a wedding, I want to build the arch. You know what I mean? He said, when we do, because we went into the NAACP, they big gala. He said, I want to do this whole table. Buy me 3 cases of kale. I want the whole thing green. I don't want to see no tablecloths. I'm saying we getting bigger and bigger. So that's when the room came downstairs for sure. He was like, we renting too much stuff. We got to buy it. So he just started buying those things. And next thing you know, we was out on the Parkway. We was doing the Welcome to America. He said, we the headliner out there. We get grills, 15, 20-foot grills, 3 of them. We got to do hamburgers, hot dogs. We out there doing the salads, everything. I'm like, this is getting bigger and bigger. And it was getting bigger.
It was 3801, but Kevin wanted a restaurant. So he had an opportunity to get a restaurant on South Street. And he wanted to name it after my mom. My mom loves Tootsie Rolls. My grandma called her Tootsie. My grandma never called her Joyce or anything like that. It was always Tootsie. So that's how she got the name. Like, she loved Tootsie Rolls.
And I'm up at 3801, and he said he's looking at opening up a restaurant. Went down there, showed us the space, and work started getting done. And it was a trial and error thing down there, because Ms.Tootsie, the first one, was just, this is bigger than Ms.Tootsie's. Right here is big. It was working in the kitchen, I think this was it. From here to the window, this is how big the kitchen was. Fry later, stoves, refrigerators, this was it. So it was a trial and error thing. He said, I'm going to open up and we're going to make it work. Now I'm at 3801 because that's our commissary up there. So we still needed a place to batch cook, to make these things, to refrigerate them, because we had to ship them down there every day. We couldn't do nothing down there. The kitchen was this size. Everything went down there ready. The mac was ready, just had to get cooked off. Yams was ready, heated up, greens, cabbage. Everything was already done. It went in containers, it went in the insulated bags, and it was shipped down there every day. Down Ms.Tootsie, they would do a pack out. We low on greens, we low on this, we low on that, we low on that. We kind of had an idea what I did. I would put the idea together of how much they needed for each day. And I would ship it down there that morning. It would go down there before they open up at 4 o'clock that day. So Ms.Tootsie's, he wanted a restaurant, but I didn't think he wanted a big one. And Ms.Tootsie was like, he wanted that quaint little space. And he just packed them in there. You know what I mean? You were sitting next to somebody you didn't know, because that's how tight the table was.
Okay, my name is David Clements. I have this friend, he's the owner of Ms.Tootsie's. So we started doing happy hours on Fridays. At Children's Hospital, we would go down to Ms.Tootsie's, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's where we would meet on Friday nights. When I met Kev and I met his mom, and going down to 3801, I was going to 3801 to see Kev, I believe, and go down there and see him. And his mom would be in the kitchen doing something, cooking it, or as moving, cutting, peeling sweet potatoes. And I would be just there to talk to Kevin. And she would say, Dave, what you doing? I said, I'm talking to Kev. Come in the kitchen. I need to peel these, get this box of sweet potatoes and peel them. So I'm talking to Kev, peeling sweet potatoes for Miss Joyce.
My mom always got something for you to do. Yeah, you can cut up the stuff for her, but the mixing and all the other stuff she put in it, no, she's gonna do that. So Kevin was in the kitchen in the beginning, but then my mom just didn't want him in the kitchen. Like, I got this, let me do this, you do that, and I do that. So that's mostly what he did. It was starting to really build, and it was a real high demand. And one thing about the city, Kevin had a contract with the city to be the one that did their events.
When the Republican convention came in town, when the Democratic convention came in town, and Kevin would get those events.
So, it was like a demand. And my mom was already retired, and so they just both took their little 401ks and just built it.
On Friday nights, every floor used to be jam-packed. Because downstairs, it was the regular service for dinner, but on the top two floors were the social entertainment. And I'm talking packed. So I'm at the door with the person who's holding the event upstairs to make sure that the money's coming in, because we need to make sure we got our part. Going upstairs to make sure that the lighting was good, that the sound was good.
Seat 1,000, but you can get a room broken down to seat just 50. So they were coming to him because he had the space, for one thing. He had the space, he can give you the ambiance, with the space, and good food.
All right, so my name is Perry Eisen, and I am the owner of My Leslie's Chicken and Waffles. My relationship with Kev is, we started out as, he was actually a customer of mine, and then he became a friend of mine, and then he wanted to recruit me to work for him. So I never had an interest in food. So that is why I did not want to work for him. And he had a way of getting what he wanted. So it started with, oh no, you won't have to do anything food. I'll just have you do the inventory, and I'll just have you do this, and I'll just have you do this. And before I knew it, I was cooking.
I remember one week, I worked 90 hours in 1 week. Don't ask me how. I don't know, I have no idea how, but that was a big week. But I'm gonna tell you, this man is one that when he takes care of you, he takes care of you. And I almost cried when he paid me for that week. He said, you're worth every last penny of it.
But Kevin was a real caring person. I just know that for the Black community, he felt like we should be able to have the finer things in life and things of that nature.
He was a man of excellence, 24/7, 24/7. He was a mama's boy. He loved his mother dearly, and she loved him. And to hear them battle, yes, they would argue back in the kitchen, they would argue. But he loved his mother. He loved South Street. He loved the restaurant, but he loved his staff, and his staff loved him.
Getting a little emotional, and I say, he's really going. I say, he's going. I say, he's really going. And after working for him for 10 years, being friends with him 10 years prior to working for him for 10 years, and then being out on my own now for 19, which was around about 17 years when he passed. Being out on my own, it was like all them years he's been with me.
Even when his mom died, we were in the office together for 4 hours. And he was just asking questions and said, Dave, I can't do this. And how did you get through this? And so to know that he trusted me to help him get through the death of his mom. Still, like I said, his death was a shock to the city. The city was shocked. And then for us who did not know, he refused to tell us. And I'm like, I was so mad at him. I was mad at Kevin Parker all the time. I was like, I was like selfish. I said, no, I wasn't ready. I said, if I would have known, maybe I could get myself prepared, but to talk to him a few days ago and not to know, that thing still hurts to this day. If you went to the funeral, the entire staff, the present staff, and even the staff who were no longer working at Ms.Tootsie's, all came together. His legacy lives on.
Ms.Tootsie's was a place to go when you felt like you were home. 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 Felt like you were home.
There was a moment where Kev was sick and in the hospital, and we were in the room, and he said to me, he's like, we need to talk about, if anything happens to me. And I said to him, I said, I don't want to have that conversation. And he said, no, P, we have to have this conversation. And he said to me at that time, he was like, I'm going to sell the restaurant, but I want you to have the terminal space. Now, granted, this was before I left. So full circle, it ended up, coming around anyway to what he wanted. So, yeah.